Howdy, you. It's me. I'm here to talk today about a video game. Aren't you excited? A little bit of content for the internet as a treat. Let me finish this up and then we'll get right to it. Pretty good, right? Pretty smooth. Good lighting, some nice candles, aromatherapy, if you will. Let's get to the meat of this video. We're going to talk about Synced. I was really excited for this game when it came out, and I was hyping it up for a couple days prior because I'd heard about it weeks before, and they had all these interesting ideas for it. It's a 1v3 looter shooter kind of game, very similar to Destiny, but more akin to something like The Division, where you're running around over the shoulder, third person camera, you're shooting at people, there's AI, but it's mostly like other players that's your main enemy. You're not really at risk from dying to, in this game, the nanos. I wanted to enjoy it more than I did. Currently, it's sitting at a not great player count, as you can see, but I'm hoping it gets better, but let's talk about that. I really liked the nano system. Your nano companion is a really big, important part of the game. This character that you control that's either in nano arm mode or in deployed mode. Deployed mode, you have him running around as a bot. That's great. Otherwise, it's in nano arm mode, which gives you passive bonuses. I thought that was a really unique mechanic for a game. I had never seen something like that for a multiplayer game. So it stood out to me as something really interesting. I didn't care much for the lore of it. I guess there's like, you're on a planet, the rich people are gone, but now you're surviving against this apocalypse, basically. Who cares? If you're a lore nut, it's whatever. I'm not. The weird thing, though, is I enjoyed a lot of certain aspects of the gunplay, but other parts got really mixed for me. Some of the gunplay feels really nice. Like, the third person over the shoulder stuff feels really solid, at least for a, I would say, generally speaking, smaller development team. We'll get more on that later as far as publishing goes. The first person stuff where you can snap to it, not great. As you can probably see in some of the gameplay I'm showing on screen, it has a look to it that's okay. I don't like the visuals as much as I thought I would. Some of it feels really, really undeveloped. Like, a lot of the sprites in the game are just 2D assets that are in a three-dimensional world. It doesn't feel great, but it's not much that I can do about it. So, I live with it. That's okay. I think it could get better if they improve it and add more three-dimensional spaces, but also it could take up more resources, so I get the trade-off. I'm not trying to be like, oh, everything has to look perfect before I play it. It's just one of those things where it could be a stylistic thing, but I don't think it looks amazing right now. You're obviously not noticing it in the heat of battle, but if you slow it down a little bit, you do notice it. I liked some of the menu stuff. Like, some of the cosmetics were really good. The menu layout was okay. I understood where I was going. We will talk more about the menus in the negative part of the video, because that's the really big part that got me. There was a lot of stuff I really wanted to enjoy that I just didn't. But before we get there, let's talk about the gameplay loop. So for the gameplay loop, you're going to be playing either Nerva runs or dead zones. Dead zones are your typical 1 to 3 players drop into a PvP area, they go fight monsters, and you fight the final boss, you extract, you leave. Or I guess you extract when you finish, but very similar to kind of like as the Monster Hunter-esque system where you spawn in, you're running around, you're shooting at, or you're attacking stuff, shooting stuff in this game. But in the very end, when you kill the final big monster, or nano in this case, I think it's nanos, regardless, whatever you're fighting, Power Assist, whatever it is, they die, and then the game's like, hey, you're returning to the hub in this timer. It's just like Monster Hunter in that sense. I wish you could stay around and explore the maps longer, because there are memory fragments to find for collectible stuff. But if the longer you stay on the map, the more this little timer in the corner goes up. And the more that goes up, the harder enemies get, so you're not incentivized to stick around. So that's disappointing, but it could be better. I mean, obviously it's a balancing thing, and I get it, but it does kind of suck. And then your Nerva runs, that's kind of where, in my opinion, the big meat of the game is. That's your PvP mode. You can either play solo for, like, in a match of up to 10 people, or you can pay 3v3v3 or whatever. It's 3v3 5 times. There's 5 teams of 3. And they all fight it out. You guys have to extract as much Nerva as possible without getting wiped out. If your team gets wiped out, you do not make it onto the leaderboard. That's kind of cool, in my opinion. Your team gets respawns. I think they're individual. Don't quote me on that. But you can gather as much Nerva. You could basically just camp it out until the last ship is gone and still get up on the leaderboard, because if your team gets wiped, it's basically game over. I've only had one win where I wiped the last person and the game just ended early because there were no teams to fight against. It doesn't make you stay longer. Which didn't help for my battle pass progress, but the battle pass is something I really want to get into. You guys are gonna, oh boy. A lot of it feels like there are the right mechanics, but just they're underdeveloped. Obviously, we don't have something like Bungie making this big PvE game, or you don't have Ubisoft making The Division. It's not that level of amount of funds they have. They're a very small company, I think. I know they're published by the same people that published GTFO. That got me super excited when I heard about that today. Funny enough. So I was super pumped about that, but then I realized, oh my god, they published GTFO, but this game is kind of almost dead on arrival. The player numbers are staggering, or not staggering, stagnating. It's just one of those things where it could be better, but it's not getting better. But without further ado, let's talk the negatives. Monetization in this game, for a free game, is really egregious. I have not seen this level of making sure, or not make sure, but just trying to get players to spend as much money as possible on something that's not really that worth it. You can buy, I think, only one premium currency in the game that you can transfer to other currencies, but there's like 7 or 8 different currencies in the game. It's like, I think 5, I'm exaggerating a little bit. It's 5 currencies. And that's a lot for a shop. That's really encumbersome. You have like your premium stuff, you have all the other things that like let you buy things in different levels. There's like cosmetic things, there's stuff to unlock characters, there's stuff to unlock certain skins, there's things for gacha. There's something called the automat. And the automat has either your normal automat coins, which are the always on loot pool, but then you have limited, which are these basically, if it might be gone forever if you don't get them now, and you're still having to pull gacha, so you're not guaranteed this item. So you're just hoping to get this good pull, because those weapon skins you get, which are great in PvE, because they're only allowed in PvE, they get those big special bonuses. And that's one of the things I do like about some of the guns, where you get all these cool bonuses with these weapon customizations that you only get in PvE, so they don't change PvP. That's on one hand really great. On the other hand, why would I spend money on something that I'm not really going to get the gist out of for like a lot of replayability? I can't use these in PvP. So once I get done with all the PvE sectors, what's the point? They just end up sitting as nice skins, I guess, that you don't really notice in a battle. But the biggest point of contention to me about monetization in this game, the battle pass. Yes, the battle pass is optional, obviously. It's only like resources and skins, so not a big deal. But there are some of those weapon enhancements, but that's, again, not a huge deal. The big deal about the battle pass is you get none of those premium currencies back, and the battle pass will set you back at minimum $16. And that's if you spend on 3 different purchases. If you want to do it in one purchase without having to waste all that time making 3 separate purchases, it's going to run you back $20. $20 for a battle pass that doesn't even really give you more than 1 player skin and 3 weapon skins that are even worthwhile is kind of egregious. Yes, you're supporting the developers. I totally get it. But you should make the battle pass more enticing. As it stands, the battle pass is just a statement on why the game is not going to last. I really wanted to be hyped for the battle pass. I was like, oh my god, it's just this random resources, so it's fine. But seeing that they want players to spend $16 on a battle pass that you don't get anything back out of, like even Fortnite, you spend $10 on the battle pass, you get your battle pass back plus a little extra. That compounds, so you get stuff later on that you wouldn't have normally gotten without having to spend extra money. Obviously, there's that whole point of, well, if you're spending $20 on this game now, you're going to get the battle pass for $16 with those credits, but then you'll have all this chunk left over. Those credits really aren't going to buy you anything. So you have this mindset of, well, I have all these credits, I don't want to waste them, so I should spend a little bit of extra money. And then you're going to spend that extra money. You're going to completely restart this cycle of ending up with a little bit of extra credits, and you're not wanting to waste them on things that are not going to benefit your game in the slightest, and you hardly notice skins and such in game. The only noticeable thing was certain skins for certain characters, such as the lady who has the like scar on half her body, that lights up in certain skins. That's gameplay detrimental. Let's talk about bad things about the gameplay. The gameplay loop is generally pretty good in PvP. I like the system of having to go and kill a prime nano to get your nano companion, but your nano companion can die in PvP, which does put you at a major disadvantage if your companion dies and you don't die, because now you don't have a way to escape. You don't have that power, which is a good balancing. I really like that. It's great, but the problem with PvP is it doesn't feel nothing feels like it has a lot of impact. Your guns don't feel like they hit their targets really punchy. Even hitting other players just doesn't feel impactful. As you're seeing on screen is a clip of me shooting at someone or waiting to shoot at them, and then the moment I start shooting at them, they snap 90 degrees with just no animation that dictates that they're doing that. Obviously, it's not like they're cheating. They could just do that in third person. But it doesn't feel good to do that. Like shooting at someone, all of a sudden they go boom, 90 degrees. It's weird. Nothing feels fluid doing that. There's just not enough reason to play this over something like Destiny at this point. With so much more of a backing and a community to Destiny, you're more likely to want to do that with the same similar power level, because you have this power level similar to Destiny's light level. But it's just this big mess of a lot of really fun features and things that could be better, and I want to see it be better, but it's just not worth it right now. I really hope the developers kind of get their shit together and make the game improved, make things feel more fluid, make there be a reason for players to keep playing. Right now, PvP doesn't really award you much. You just kind of play it for your battle pass, or you just play it because you like kicking the shit out of other players. That's fine. But there's just not a lot of draw factor to the game. Like, there's nothing really setting it apart from other games right now. There's all sorts of shooters you could play if you want to play a shooter where you're in like a big arena. You could play all sorts of looter shooters like Tarkov and Hunt Showdown if you want that adrenaline of finding loot. But you don't even get to carry the loot out in this game. If you want that kind of Division-esque game, go play The Division. Obviously, like I said, this game is free. That's great, but it doesn't feel like they put enough marketing into finding players to play it. Yeah, they sponsored streamers. From what I assume, they sponsored streamers. I went and watched a couple people, and they all had like advertising things for the game, so I assume that's where they spent their marketing. So we saw people like True Talent and a couple other big names just playing it, and they didn't seem super excited about having to read off certain ad things, but they played it, and good for them. Get that bag, kings and queens. You guys need that money. They had the money. Get that bag. Never gonna knock on someone for a sponsorship, but it would have been good to see more of a kind of, not feedback loop, but interaction between developer and the streamers, because those streamers held a lot of weight to the game's name at the time. On release day, this is what people were talking about in the community of the game. But now that we're kind of at this situation of the streamers aren't really playing it anymore, and it's kind of dying down, we're losing people. The developers are not going to get any money if they're losing players, like they're just bleeding them. The Twitch Prime rewards on day one definitely just inflated the numbers more than we'll expect. What's my verdict on the game? I really want to see it get better, but as it stands, I don't know what the developers could really do to make it stand out. The nano system is really, really cool. I want to enjoy that, but like, you find some really cool moments where you'll be hiding and all of a sudden someone will throw out their nano to force you out of that hiding spot, and they'll knock you out the moment you get out of it. And that's really awesome. That's a really good use of this companion system. But the other systems in play, such as kind of the monetization and players not really having a reason to play other than just progressing a battle pass, just kind of doesn't feel really great. Like, the free skins you unlock for playing, they do not look great. There's just so much in it that I really want to truly enjoy. I hope the developers can find a way to kind of breathe more life into the game without having to wait for, here's an expansion pack that adds more weapons, because there's not a lot of toys to play with. You get like 2 assault rifles, 3 shotguns, whatever it is. It's like less than 5 of each category. There's not a lot of variety. You see more variety in Fortnite weapons, which is crazy. So I don't know. I'm hopeful for the game. I don't think it's bad. Synced is an awesome game. It's really worth the try. It's free. Might as well download it. It runs pretty great. If you can find a match, it's fun. The dead sectors are enjoyable to play through. Like, that little PvP thing where you can get a little bit of lore stuff is kind of fun. I like that. The boss fights are really neato. I loved fighting the pyrocysts in different forms. That was really cool. But yeah, we're kind of at a point where the game could be better and it needs to be improved, but the developers really need to kind of get a handle on it, and then we'll see it improve. I think that's really all I have. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm excited, but kind of tentative. I still have it installed. I'm booting it up every day to see if it's got a ability to find a match, but we're bleeding numbers, dude. So, you know, I wish the developers luck, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, you know the usual. a little bit of a subscribe button, a little bit of a like, leave a comment. I really want to hear what you thought about the game. If you played Synced or you watched the video and want to play it, I'd love to hear about it. I'm always open to hearing these conflicting viewpoints of, well, maybe you enjoyed the gunplay and I didn't enjoy the gunplay. I want to hear that. I want to see that there's people who enjoyed this game more than I did. That makes me happy. That makes me know that it's not just people who are jaded like I was. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good one.